Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into the world of Parasite? Released on May 30th, 2019, this film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're uncovering every thrilling detail. If you enjoy this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us grow. And for more incredible movie explorations and hidden gems, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's unravel the magic behind this cinematic masterpiece. Our story begins in the dim, semi-basement home of the Kim family. Ki-taek, the father, Chung-suk, the mother, Ki-woo, the son, and Ki-young, the daughter. The family lives in poverty, folding pizza boxes for a pittance and scrounging for Wi-Fi from nearby cafes. Bong Joon-ho immediately sets the tone. This is not just about a family, it's about survival. But what starts as a story grounded in realism quickly twists into something far more layered, far more sinister, and deeply symbolic. When Ki-woo's friend Min offers him a chance to tutor the daughter of a wealthy family, the Parks, a spark ignites. With forged university papers courtesy of his sister, Ki-woo enters the pristine, sunlit home of the Parks, a complete contrast to the dank shadows of his own world. This moment marks the beginning of a slow infiltration where each Kim family member takes on a new role in the Park household: tutor, art therapist, chauffeur, and housekeeper, without revealing their real relationships. It's a brilliant scheme executed with humor, tension, and biting satire. As they each embed themselves into the lives of the oblivious Parks, we, the audience, become complicit, rooting for their deception, laughing at their clever manipulation. Yet beneath the comedy lies a growing discomfort. The way the Parks talk about the smell of Ki-taek, the unavoidable stench of poverty, unveils the deep, unconscious bias that defines the film's core conflict. The Parks are not overtly cruel. They're polite, generous, but they exist in a bubble so far removed from reality that their kindness becomes condescension. Then, just as the Kims begin to settle into their new lives, the film pivots. One rainy evening, with the Parks away on a camping trip, the Kims enjoy a rare moment of luxury in the empty house. But the doorbell rings. The former housekeeper, Moon Gwang, returns, revealing a secret bunker in the basement where her husband has been secretly living for years. This discovery shatters everything. Suddenly, the Kim family isn't alone in their deception. There are others just as desperate, just as hidden. From this point, Parasite transforms into a pressure cooker of tension and moral ambiguity. The Kims and the bunker dwellers turn on each other, vying for survival in a space designed for privilege. The storm outside mirrors the chaos within, as class warfare, silent until now, erupts violently. The next day, during the Park's son's birthday party, the horror unfolds. Ki-taek, humiliated and enraged after a series of slights and witnessing the casual disgust Mr. Park expresses over his smell, snaps. In front of dozens of guests, he murders Mr. Park, then disappears, vanishing into the shadows like a ghost. What follows is quiet devastation. Ki-woo survives a brutal head injury and wakes to find everything changed. His sister is dead. His mother is alone. The Parks have moved out. A new family lives in their house, and his father is rumored to be hiding beneath it, sending messages in Morse code through flickering lights. The ending is bittersweet. Ki-woo dreams of earning enough money to one day buy the house and rescue his father, a fantasy underscored by the harsh truth. We know he may never escape the trap of poverty. Parasite is not just a thriller. It's a razor-sharp commentary on inequality and the invisible systems that divide people. Bong Joon-ho crafts a visual metaphor in every scene: the vertical architecture of the Park's home versus the descending stairs to the Kim's dwelling or the underground bunker, symbolizing the social ladder that's nearly impossible to climb. The title itself, Parasite, is ambiguous. Who exactly is the parasite? The poor family leeching off the rich? Or the rich feeding off the labor of the poor, comfortably unaware? Every detail in this film is intentional. From the symbolic scholar's rock to the recurring motif of water, floods, rain, the bath, the elements reflect the characters' lives and fates. The cinematography is precise, the score subtle and haunting. And the editing, especially in the transition scenes between the Kim's and Park's worlds, creates a rhythm that feels both elegant and ominous. Bong Joon-ho doesn't provide easy answers. Instead, he invites us to sit with the discomfort, to recognize that the system itself is the villain, and everyone in the story, no matter how clever or kind, is trapped in it. The brilliance of Parasite lies in how it disguises its message within genre. First a comedy, then a heist, then a horror, and finally a tragedy. By the end, we realize we've been slowly descending, step by step, into something darker all along. Thanks for joining this deep dive into Parasite, one of the most masterfully crafted films of the 21st century. If you enjoyed this breakdown, give it a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments. What did you take away from the ending? And don't forget to subscribe for more cinematic explorations. Until next time, stay curious and keep watching. On May 30th, 2019, South Korean cinemas welcomed a film that would soon ripple across the globe, igniting conversations in film circles, political think pieces, and dinner tables alike. Parasite, directed by the masterful Bong Joon-ho, emerged not merely as a film but as a revelation. From its first frame to its haunting final shot, it weaves an intoxicating tale that transcends genre and geography, transforming an intimate story of two families into a biting global satire of class, privilege, and the human condition. To say Parasite is a movie would be underselling it. It's a cinematic event, one that leaves viewers haunted, challenged, and changed. What sets Parasite apart isn't just its plot or performances, though both are impeccable. It's how everything works in perfect concert. Bong Joon-ho, already well known for his genre-blending films like Memories of Murder and Snowpiercer, delivers here his magnum opus. A story where no moment is wasted, no line is incidental, no shot without purpose. The genius lies in the way Parasite morphs, starting as a dark comedy, shifting into a con drama, then evolving into psychological suspense, and finally plunging headfirst into tragedy. It does all this without ever losing coherence or emotional punch. Each tonal shift is seamless, each revelation sharp, each scene charged with subtext. The plot begins deceptively simple. The Kim family, father Ki-taek, mother Chung-suk, son Ki-woo, and daughter Ki-young, live in a cramped, semi-basement apartment in Seoul. They fold pizza boxes for a living, steal Wi-Fi from the neighbors, and scramble for part-time jobs to survive. Their world is defined by scarcity, adaptation, and hustle. When Ki-woo gets a chance to tutor the daughter of the ultra-rich Park family, a door cracks open. With a little Photoshop and a lot of confidence, he steps into the Park's sun-drenched home, a luxurious architectural marvel that seems worlds away from his own dim, underground existence. From this moment, the film kicks into gear, operating like a heist movie. Ki-woo suggests his sister Ki-young as an art therapist for the Park's young son. Then comes the replacement of the chauffeur and housekeeper, all orchestrated by the Kims, each presenting themselves as unrelated professionals. It's darkly hilarious, brilliantly executed, and yet there's something deeply unsettling beneath the surface. As the Kims infiltrate the Park's world, Bong carefully shows us not just the disparities in wealth, but in space, light, respect, and dignity. The Parks are not villains in the traditional sense. They're kind, polite, even generous. But their privilege insulates them from empathy. They look down on the poor not with malice, but with indifference. And as the film progresses, this quiet cruelty becomes more unbearable than outright evil ever could. Just when it seems like the Kims have secured their new life, a twist shatters the illusion. One stormy night, the former housekeeper Moon-gwang returns, begging to retrieve something from the basement. What she reveals changes everything. Her husband has been secretly living in a hidden bunker beneath the Park's house for years, hiding from loan sharks and surviving off scraps. The Kim family is horrified, not just because of the deception, but because they realize they are not the only ones clawing at the margins of wealth. They, too, are replaceable. They, too, are not alone in their desperation. From this point, the film shifts into something darker, more volatile. The tone thickens with dread, the humor gives way to panic, and the veneer of the Park's perfect life begins to crack. The flood that devastates the Kim's home is symbolic and literal, washing away any remaining pretense that they could ever truly rise above their circumstances. Meanwhile, the Parks throw a lavish garden party, blissfully unaware of the wreckage that's unfolded beneath their feet. The climax is explosive, both narratively and emotionally, culminating in an act of violence that feels both inevitable and shocking. Ki-taek, pushed to the brink by humiliation, grief, and a lifetime of being overlooked, snaps, and his disappearance into the depths of the bunker is not just physical, but spiritual. He becomes a ghost of capitalism's cruelty, buried beneath the very system that crushed him. The brilliance of Parasite lies in how it uses its setting to tell the story. The architecture of the Park house becomes a visual metaphor for class division. The higher up you go, the closer you are to wealth and safety. The lower you descend, the more invisible you become. The rain, the stairs, the lighting, everything carries meaning. Even the smell that Mr. Park casually comments on becomes a symbol of the unavoidable stigma of poverty, an odor that can't be scrubbed clean or disguised by a nice suit. Every detail Bong plants comes back with devastating impact, making the film an intricate puzzle box of narrative and visual storytelling. Performances across the board are nothing short of extraordinary. Kang-ho, a frequent Bong collaborator, brings a quiet, simmering depth to Ki-taek, portraying a man who's both beaten down and fiercely proud. Choi Woo-shik and Park So-dam, as the Kim siblings, exude wit, charm, and youthful recklessness. And Cho Yeo-jeong as Mrs. Park offers a subtly tragic portrayal of wealth-induced detachment, naive, vulnerable, and entirely disconnected from reality. Each actor inhabits their role with such authenticity that the film never feels scripted. It feels lived. The cinematography by Hong Kyung-pyo is elegant and deliberate, with long takes, symmetrical framing, and a fluid camera that glides through the Park house like an omniscient observer. The score by Jung Jae-il is minimal yet haunting, adding tension where needed and emotion where silence would fall flat. Editor Yang Jin-mo stitches together scenes with surgical precision, allowing the tension to build organically, never tipping into melodrama. And then there's Bong's script, layered, sharp, witty, and devastatingly honest. So how did a Korean-language film with no Hollywood stars break through to become a cultural juggernaut? The answer lies in its universality. Parasite speaks to something global, something festering just beneath the surface of modern life. The widening gap between rich and poor, the illusion of meritocracy, the unseen labor that props up privilege, these are not uniquely Korean issues. Whether you're in Seoul or San Francisco, London or Lagos, the story resonates. It's about the dream of a better life and the barriers that make that dream unreachable. It's about how systems, not individuals, create parasites, some who feed off others, and others who are forced to survive by any means necessary. The film's success was historic. It won the Palme d'Or at Cannes with a unanimous vote, then went on to dominate the 2020 Academy Awards, becoming the first non-English language film to win Best Picture. It also took home awards for Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best International Feature. But beyond the trophies, its impact was cultural. It made audiences confront uncomfortable truths. It sparked debates about wealth inequality, service labor, and the ethics of social mobility. It reminded the world that subtitles are not a barrier to storytelling. They're a bridge. What makes Parasite so endlessly rewatchable is how much it reveals upon each viewing. A glance, a line of dialogue, a seemingly minor detail in the background. Everything matters. It's a film that trusts its audience to read between the lines, to feel what's unspoken, to see themselves in both families. Because ultimately, we are all shaped by the structures we live under. Some of us climb, some of us fall, and some of us, like the man in the bunker, are simply trying to endure. By the time the final credits roll, Parasite leaves a lingering ache. Not just from the tragedy that unfolds, but from the realization that the line between host and parasite is thinner than we'd like to admit. Bong Joon-ho crafted more than a film, he created a mirror. And whether we look at it from above or below, we can't help but see the truth staring back. That is why Parasite matters. That is why it endures. And that is why diving into its depths is not just worthwhile. It's essential. On May 30th, 2019, Parasite burst onto screens in South Korea and soon traveled far beyond, carving out a space in global cinema that no one could ignore. From its first frame, the film casts you into the cramped semi-basement apartment of the Kim family. Ki-taek the father, Chung-suk the mother, Ki-woo the son, and Ki-young the daughter, where poverty is less a circumstance than a state of being. The world they inhabit is dim, damp, strewn with the pizza delivery boxes Ki-woo folds for part-time pay and accented by stolen Wi-Fi signals. This semi-basement, part underground, part street level, sets the tone from the onset. This family is rooted in the margins, trying to survive beneath the surface. Ki-woo, bright-eyed and eager, accepts an unusual opportunity thanks to a friend, to pose as an English tutor for the daughter of the wealthy Park family. Armed with forged university documents devised by Ki-young, his sister and con artist in miniature, he steps into the sunlight of the Park estate, literally and figuratively. The contrast is immediate. The Kim home is cramped and slanted, the Park home open and symmetrical, elevated in space and status. That spatial difference becomes a visual metaphor for the social chasm between them. Within minutes of Ki-woo's arrival, you sense not just difference but the possibility of transformation. His client, Park Dae-hye, is a calm, introspective teenager who's eager to excel and seems willing to trust this untested tutor. Her father, Mr. Park, a polite and well-intentioned tech executive, exudes confidence but remains unobservant. It's through these observations that Parasite builds suspense. We realize how little awareness the Parks have of the world below them. Once Ki-woo wins over Dae-hye, he recommends his sister Ki-young as an art therapist for the younger son, Da-song. She puts on theatrics, pretending to be a psychology student playing art games, and with brash humor convinces Mrs. Park that she's the perfect fit. One by one, the Kims insinuate themselves into the household. Ki-young as the art tutor, Ki-taek as chauffeur after the current driver is ousted, and ultimately Chung-suk as housekeeper once the original one is slyly dismissed. By this point, you're watching a con unfold, but it's not slick or laugh-track funny. It pulses with dark energy, a sharpened satire of social climbing. Every new role they assume heightens tension. When Ki-taek is hired as the driver, he's polite, quiet, but his absence after a minor accident unleashes suspicion. Yet the Park family blindly trusts him again, because beneath their facade of open-mindedness lies a comforting ignorance. Chung-suk's interview as a housekeeper is performed with such practiced sincerity that Mrs. Park immediately sees her as a godsend. And as the original housekeeper exits, unaware of the fate that awaited her, the Kims slip more deeply into the Parks' lives. Each moment brims with a charge. You celebrate the Kims' cunning, yet your heart sinks with the knowledge that this house of cards might collapse under its own duplicity. It's in these early intersections of humor and struggle that the film's themes take root. The Parks are kind but clueless. They speak fondly of the smell of the poor but treat it like an oddity rather than an indictment. Mr. Park, gentle as he is, doesn't see the chasm between his life and theirs. He simply assumes goodwill erases difference. Yet Bong Joon-ho teases the audience with foreshadowing. Minor glitches, odd pauses, the ominous use of shadows under staircases hint at tension beneath the surface. Even the opening sequences, which depict a humble semi-basement apartment illuminated by a single light bulb, contrasted with the lush exterior of the Park residence, are orchestrated to elevate suspense. You feel that something fantastic is building. As Ki-woo uploads a picture of the Kim household on his phone before heading to the Park home, you witness his world slipping away, a world defined by poverty but bound by togetherness, and you wonder how long the deception can hold. One moment that glues the first half together. The birthday gift, the rock shaped like a scholar's stone. Mr. Park gifts it to Ki-woo, calling it a dream stone, something that brings wealth. It's absurd yet poetic, offered to someone whose real wealth is in cunning survival. That rock becomes a symbol, a talisman of aspiration. As Ki-woo flips the rock in his hand, you understand the irony. It's a heavy weight to bear, but maybe it's the only weight the family can carry. The Kims settle into their roles. They ride in Mr. Park's car, glide through the house, stain their clothes from trampled grass. They inhabit the park's life. Those early dinners with the family, guided tours of the home, and whispered instructions to Dae-sung. All are shot with skewed framing that places the Kims as outsiders, even while they're inside. The camera lingers on subtle power dynamics. Ki-taek is silent, respectable. Chung-suk is deferential. Ki-young is confident. Ki-woo is charming. Together, they form a familiar team, but one built on lies. That tension hums in the air. Foreshadowing emerges in small details. Dae-sung's broken bird sculpture and obsession with psychic powers. The locked basement door that the parks make a joke of. The way the house reacts to weather. On May 30th, 2019, Parasite shifted from sly caper to devastating tragedy in its second half. And what unfolded felt less like a movie than a masterclass in narrative escalation. The turn begins subtly. Moon Gwang's return cracks open the carefully built veneer of the Park household. She bursts in during a torrential downpour, emotional and frantic, insisting she must retrieve something from the basement before it's too late. Her arrival hits like a lurch in the motion of the con. Unexpected, sharp, and deeply unsettling. A quiet Tuesday turns into a battleground of secrets. Her desperation is palpable. She reveals that her husband has been hiding in the park's hidden basement for years, living in silence while the household above prospered in ignorant peace. Everything becomes urgent. The Kims race to secure their positions, to salvage the scam they've perfected. They confront Moon Gwang, tensions flaring in tight, claustrophobic dialogue. The threat isn't just about exposure, it's about who truly belongs in that house. Ki-taek, the patriarch, asserts control, his voice low but firm, reminding his family who's in charge. But beneath that calm, fear coils. The rain pounds, transforming the house into a soundscape of dread. As water seeps, running off the roof into the street, and photos of the park's blissful life flicker on screens overhead. The grounded bliss of the first half fractures. Then the storm hits the Kim neighborhood. Their cramped semi-basement floods catastrophically, washing away all that remained. Furniture, hope, safety. They emerge from the wreckage dirty, bedraggled, and collapsing in grief. Watching them clutch salvageable photo albums beside their ruined home, you feel that last shred of comedic energy drain from the film. Back at the Park estate, life goes on. The Parks are oblivious to transformation. Their new housekeepers, chauffeur, art tutor are all in place, unaware of the removal of the Kim family. They enjoy another beautiful day. Dae-sung dances in the living room, music pulses, and Mr. Park sniffs the air, asking, "Do you smell something?" A throwaway line that echoes like a taunt. The viewer sees the mimetic contrast, a dance of oblivion above and disaster below. Comedy meets tragedy. The family reconvenes, huddled in the wreckage of their apartment. Ki-woo nurses a fresh head injury from a drunken scuffle and lies in bed. Chung-suk cleans up as Ki-taek moves in with the old housekeeper, Moon Gwang, complicit in her husband's concealment. They plan to capitalize on blackout conditions to claim the Park house's living space for another night. That decision catalyzes the breakdown, no longer a joke or satire, but a revolt. With the Parks away for a birthday party under last-minute pressure and rain-soaked chaos brewing upstairs, Ki-woo pumps Moon Gwang's husband full of liquor, insisting he act before he loses courage. He locks doors, flips installation switches, and initiates havoc. Music comes on. Lights flicker. The underground bunker's inhabitant hobbles upstairs. When he reaches the door of the main floor, it's locked. He pounds, wails with confusion. Smoke maybe rises. The confrontation erupts without camera pulls, without music swell. Pure chaos. Chung-suk flees, Ki-taek stands steady. The tension is unbearable. By the time the Park's birthday garden party is in full swing, the audience is on edge. Elegant guests chat, balloons sway, the weather calms. The event hosted by Mr. and Mrs. Park shimmers with blissful grace. Dae-sung prances on the lawn as if nothing has happened. A crowd of well-heeled guests sip drinks under the open sky. Funky party music mingles with chatter. That invitation to tranquility is short-lived. Then the doorbell. A figure stumbles up the steps. A man covered in soot, disheveled. Blood. Rage. Ki-taek emerges from beneath the roots of the house like a ghost. The world he walks into, rich, secure, civilized, becomes suddenly alien. He raises a knife. He stabs Mr. Park. The guests scream. Figures scatter in panic. The party devolves into chaos. You feel that stab in your gut. Not just for Mr. Park's collapse, but for the rupture in your emotional compass. This con gone wrong is no longer comedic or satirical. It's existential. Ki-taek, a man broken by the system, lashes out not in premeditation but in crisis. The easy dinner parties, the mocked smell, the constant humiliation, they all converge in one violent moment. Then he vanishes into the house, the cellar, the mind. Silence descends after screams fade. Ki-woo awakens in hospital. He brings his father's scholar's rock to the bedside, remembering its earlier symbolic hope. But now the dream has died. The song is alive but dead inside. Chung-suk is missing. The Park household disperses. The murder is national news. As Ki-woo leaves the hospital room, he lingers in the empty hallway, eyes blank. You're suspended with him between grief and disbelief. Ki-woo returns to the now empty Park house, scouring the rooms for his family, for meaning. The estate is sold. New owners, shining windows. It's a house scrubbed clean of memory. He sneaks in at night, looking for traces. Moon-gwang's husband is arrested or disappears. The old housekeeper is gone. He wanders into the bunker stairs, descending again into darkness, expecting to find his father. He finds only emptiness. Ki-woo's voiceover begins. He dreams of earning enough money so someday he can buy this house and free his father. He describes a plan. Work hard, save, buy the house, open the door. Yet you and he know this plan is likely a fantasy. Maybe he dies. Maybe he spends decades under the grating of service industry hours. Maybe his father is already gone. The final shot rests on the architectural mystery of the house. A place of wealth and tragedy, designed for control. As lights flicker in the distance, you feel something like hopeless awe. The elements of class hierarchy, space, secrecy, noise, smell, they all tie together. Every moment in the second half reveals how the con that began with ambition becomes a trap of emotional violence. The humor becomes bitter. The escape becomes entrapment. And the film ends not with closure, but with longing. All narrative threads converge. The Park's oblivious to destruction. The Kims destroyed by their own scheme. The unseen man in the bunker. The illusory dream of rising. The scholar's rock, once a symbol of hope, now wait in memory. The film's visual metaphors. Up versus down. Open light versus suffocating shadows. Suburban polish versus basement grime. Align with the story's emotional architecture. Each camera move, each line of dialogue, each glint of rain or motif of stairs works in harmony. Parasite leaves you unsettled, moved, enraged. The second half is not just a continuation, it's commentary. It asks harsh questions. Can one ever climb out of poverty without breaking something fragile inside? Is ambition enough without structural change? It offers no answers, only stories, and a reminder that the line between ascendance and collapse is thinner than a conspiracy, deeper than a cellar, and louder than a shout in a silent house. Here's a continuous narrative exploring the characters of Parasite, their motivations, arcs, and transformations, told as a fluid story that captures their emotional depth and how they interweave with the film's broader themes, without breaking the immersive flow. From the very beginning, the Kim family feels real, not in the grand cinematic sense, but in the small, intimate details that show how they survive in the cracks of society. Ki-woo, the son, stands out as the first to glimpse possibility beyond their half-buried basement apartment. There's a quiet intelligence in him, the kind that isn't taught but born of necessity. When his friend offers him the tutoring job with the Park family, it's as if someone opened a trapdoor above him into another life. He doesn't hesitate. The plan to fake his university credentials comes quickly, efficiently, like he's done this before. Not literally, but in dreams, in constant improvisation. And in that moment, Ki-woo shifts. He's no longer the impoverished son folding pizza boxes. He's Kevin, English tutor, a persona born of opportunity and hunger. His transformation begins not with money but with identity. And then there's Ki-taek, the father. Worn and tired, he moves with the weight of someone who has spent a lifetime in quiet submission. There's a gentleness to him early on, a passivity that's neither weakness nor wisdom, just a man accustomed to being unseen. Yet in his silence is a suppressed anger, one that bubbles just beneath the surface. He's willing to play the game when his children recruit him into their growing scheme, assuming the role of Mr. Park's new driver. But every polite conversation, every moment he's praised for knowing his place, becomes a cut. You see it in his eyes, a discomfort not just with his station, but with the way the rich pretend that dignity is a gift they give to the poor. Ki-taek's arc is one of slow, aching tension, like a string pulled tighter and tighter until it finally snaps, violently, tragically, unforgettably. Chung-suk, the mother, is the blunt instrument of the family. She doesn't have time for the subtle games her children play. She's pragmatic, sarcastic, and fiercely protective. Her entry into the Park home comes after a calculated takedown of the previous housekeeper, and she steps into the role with confidence, even scorn for the Park's softness. What's remarkable is that while she plays along with the con, you sense she sees through it all. She doesn't fantasize about rising through charm or cunning. She's focused on survival. And when the plan begins to unravel, it's Chung-suk who responds with brute force, fighting to preserve what little power they've seized. Ki-young, the daughter, is perhaps the most fascinating of the group. She's sharp, composed, effortlessly manipulative. She forges documents with flair, lies with ease, and adapts with a cool detachment that feels almost professional. When she becomes Jessica, the art therapist, she steps fully into the skin of someone who belongs. She doesn't pretend to want in. She acts like she already is. That confidence, born of talent and sheer audacity, is mesmerizing. And yet, beneath it, there's a deep sadness. Ki-young seems to know that this illusion can't last. Her arc is steep and swift, from architect of the con to its most poignant victim. When she bleeds out at the end, clutching a birthday cake amidst chaos, it feels like the death of not just a person, but a dream that never had a chance to live. The Parks, meanwhile, are not villains in the traditional sense. They're kind enough, polite enough, but it's their obliviousness that becomes unbearable. Mr. Park is courteous, generous, but there's a line he believes shouldn't be crossed, and that line always places the Kims firmly in the realm of other. When he jokes about Ki-taek's smell, or praises him for not overstepping, it's with the assumption that their roles are fixed by nature, not circumstance. His downfall isn't due to cruelty, but to the casual entitlement of someone who assumes the world is fair because it's fair to him. Mrs. Park is even more revealing in her unawareness. She gushes over her children's needs, believes in the merits of every new tutor, and accepts everything told to her without question, as long as it comes wrapped in the right vocabulary, tone, and image. Her world is curated and sanitized, and the Kim's arrival never truly pierces that surface until it's far too late. Supporting characters are few, but potent. Moon-gwang, the original housekeeper, initially seems like a minor obstacle, an unfortunate step in the family's plan. But when she returns, desperate and shaken, she brings with her a secret that turns the film on its head. Her husband, Gun Se, has been living in the hidden basement for years, a ghost feeding off the crumbs of the Park's prosperity. His existence reframes the entire story. Suddenly, the Kims are not the only ones clinging to survival beneath the mask of affluence. There's another family even deeper in the abyss, forgotten entirely. Moon-gwang's love and madness intertwine in her final moments, revealing a life of quiet tragedy and horror just below the pristine floors of the Park home. Gun Se himself becomes something almost mythic, a man reduced to shadows whose obsession with Mr. Park as a kind of deity morphs into insanity. His emergence during the birthday party massacre is shocking, primal. He doesn't speak for class, he roars for recognition. His desperation becomes the tipping point, the burst of long-buried chaos that sends all pretense crashing down. And at the center of it all is the house, a silent character, with clean lines, sunlight pouring in, and secrets buried beneath. It shelters the Parks, flatters their sense of taste, and becomes the stage upon which the Kims act out their borrowed lives. But it also imprisons. It hides the basement. It separates upstairs from downstairs, wealth from desperation. Every door, hallway, and staircase is a symbol, the verticality of society, the boundaries of privilege. When Ki-taek finally disappears into the basement, it's not just a plot twist. It's a cruel conclusion. He becomes another ghost, erased by a system too polite to admit he ever existed. What makes these characters unforgettable isn't just their roles, but the way they reflect each other. The Kims are mirrors of the Parks, just distorted by poverty, sharpened by need. Each con they pull is a version of something the rich already do, but cloaked in desperation. And the Parks' kindness is only kindness when their comfort is guaranteed. Once their world is threatened, they recoil, not in violence but in indifference. The performances bring all of this to life with astonishing precision. Kang-ho as Ki-taek is a masterclass in subtlety. His eyes alone carry entire conversations. Choi Woo-shik gives Ki-woo the perfect balance of innocence and calculation. Park So-dam's Kyung is all sharp edges and soft lies. And Jang Hae-jin makes Chung-suk fierce, grounding the family with practical strength. The cast never plays their characters as heroes or villains. They live them as people molded by invisible pressure, trying to breathe through walls that never seem to move. As Parasite unfolds, these characters grow and unravel together. Their arcs are not neat lines but messy spirals, rising briefly before plunging deeper than where they started. They laugh, scheme, hope, suffer. And by the end, they vanish, some literally, others metaphorically, leaving. Here is a continuous, immersive narrative exploring the hidden details, symbolism, and Easter eggs in Parasite, naturally woven into the story to enhance its depth and impact, without using links or lists. From the very first shot, Bong Joon-ho invites us to look closely. The semi-basement apartment, cramped and dimly lit, might appear as just a setting, but it's much more. Its partial exposure to sunlight, paired with its underground reality, is a visual metaphor for the Kim family's social position. Halfway visible, always reaching, never fully part of the world above. This constant relationship between levels, between low and high stairs and slopes, is not just clever framing. It's a persistent, symbolic architecture of class. Take, for instance, the scholar's rock given to Ki-woo. It's presented almost mystically, a symbol of hope and wealth. In Korean tradition, these stones are treasured as contemplative objects, often associated with scholarship, patience, and inner strength. But Bong twists that symbolism. The rock comes to represent not serenity, but burden. Ki-woo clings to it like a talisman, yet it's this same rock that eventually smashes into his head. Its irony is cruel, but brilliant. It's a dream that turns against its dreamer. And in one subtle yet powerful moment, when the floodwaters overtake the Kim apartment, we see the rock floating in the sewage-filled water. It shouldn't float, but it does. That detail alone reveals its hollowness, both literally and metaphorically. What the family believed to be solid and grounding is weightless, meaningless, an illusion. The flood itself is no random disaster. It's a turning point in the film that marks the collapse of the Kim family's illusion of upward mobility. Water, which traditionally cleanses, instead destroys here. It drowns the facade they'd built around themselves. It also functions as a stark visual contrast between the two families. While the Kims lose everything in the rain, the Parks see it as a minor inconvenience. An aesthetic inconvenience during their son's impromptu backyard birthday. Smell, an often overlooked sensory cue in film, is another quiet but powerful symbol. Mr. Park's remark that Ki-taek crosses the line with his odor is one of the film's most devastating moments. It's not just about hygiene. It's about something primal. Smell, unlike language or appearance, can't be easily disguised. It marks class difference in a way that clothes or behavior cannot. Mr. Park's reaction is casual, but for Ki-taek, It's a deep humiliation. That remark sticks with him, festering like a wound, until it becomes one of the triggers for his violent outburst at the end. Before that, Bong seeds the motif with the family discussing how they all smell the same, and with Ki-woo recoiling when he hears Mr. Park say it aloud. The house itself, with its modernist architecture and large glass windows, is a meticulously designed stage. Every room, corridor, and stairwell speaks volumes. There's symmetry and order in the Park home, a reflection of wealth and control. The garden is lush, manicured, and private. The inside is always bathed in soft, natural light. Yet beneath this polished surface, literally and figuratively, lies a hidden bunker, a remnant of war, secrecy, and fear. This vertical structure, the upper class living comfortably above ground while others languish below, mirrors the entire social structure the film critiques. The Park family doesn't even know the bunker exists, much like how the privileged are often unaware of the suffering beneath their feet. The use of vertical movement throughout the film is relentless. The Kim family constantly climbs or descends stairs, ramps, and hills. Their journey down from the Park residence to their own neighborhood after the rainstorm is filmed as a never-ending descent, each step a reminder of how far they actually are from the life they're pretending to live. Bong's camera doesn't let us escape it. We walk with them, soaked, defeated, through alleyways and sewers, back to the reality they briefly thought they could leave behind. Even the smallest objects are loaded with meaning. De Song's drawing, for instance, appears innocent but takes on a terrifying implication once we understand that the figure he sketched with wild eyes and a jagged face is Gun Sae, the man secretly living in the basement. The child had seen him before, registering his face unconsciously, and captured it in art. What looks like a creative scribble is actually a record of trauma. Then there's the motif of food. The dish the Park mother requests, ramdon or japaguri, blends cheap and expensive ingredients. It's an instant noodle combo topped with sirloin, a luxury twist on a budget meal. That dish perfectly encapsulates the Park family's obliviousness. They want comfort food, but only if it's dressed in wealth. Here's an immersive and expansive behind-the-scenes journey into Parasite. The production challenges, creative risks, and bizarre trivia that shaped its unforgettable making, woven into a flowing narrative rather than trivia bullets. When Bong Joon-ho first transformed his college-age tutoring experiences into a full narrative, he nearly made Parasite into a play. He drafted it as a theatrical piece, a box stage where two worlds rotate around each other. But as the story grew, it demanded cinema, a universe built, not just performed. By 2013, Bong had begun scribbling scenes, imagining characters slipping into a house not theirs. The title Parasite itself was controversial. He had to argue with his marketing team to keep it, because it seemed to cast the poor as villains. Bong insisted the rich were parasites too, leeching off invisible labor. Long before cameras rolled, Bong meticulously hand-drew storyboards for every shot. Cast and crew called him Bongtail, detail fused with his name, because he planned every angle, every light, every actor's movement. His editor Yang Jin-mo said they shot with no traditional coverage, only the exact material Bong intended, often stitching different takes of the same shot to piece together the final edit. He edited on Final Cut Pro 7, software discontinued in 2011. His machine hadn't received an update since 2014, yet delivered an Oscar-nominated masterpiece. On set, Bong prioritized harmony. He never lost his cool or shouted on location. Even during long days in the water tank built for the flood sequence, he made sure meals mattered, insisting on good catering, asking every morning, "What's for lunch?" Despite thousands of extras and complex staging, he kept tension low by keeping his actors comfortable. Building the sets became a central challenge. The Park house didn't exist, nor did the Kim semi-basement or the connecting alleyway. Production designer Lee Ha-jun created the homes from scratch. The rich house was modeled on a fictional architect's design, sleek, symmetrical, drenched in natural light. Bong and the cinematographer visited the lot throughout the day to measure the sun's movement, so the lighting would be natural and dramatic. Outside beyond the garden was all green screen, Inside, Hong Kyung-pyo's lens glided through corridors and staircases, revealing verticality that underscored class division. The Kim neighborhood was equally manufactured, but raw. The art department visited dilapidated villages set for demolition, salvaging doors, windows, even trash heaps. They built the street inside a water tank so they could flood it on cue. For weeks, actors waded through what looked like sewage water, but was actually clean water, thickened with clay facial masks. Park Sodam later joked it was like skincare, despite the flies and stench their realism attracted. One peculiar challenge: the exploding toilet. The crew tested pressure endlessly to get the right spray of water and the right comedic timing, ensuring it looked gross but also choreographed. Meanwhile, the peach allergy detail came from Bong's friend, who truly went into anaphylaxis after someone tossed a peach at him. Not a joke. Bong remembered it and turned it into key plot machinery, the moment that triggers the departure of the housekeeper, Moon-gwang. Song Kang-ho, Choi Woo-shik, Park Sodam, Cho Yeo-jeong, Lee Sun-kyun, and most of the main cast had no idea what Parasite would become. Many signed on purely because they trusted Bong after previous collaborations. On set, to break the tension, the actors got drunk, chatted, joked, fought, made up by dawn, and that chaos turned into a core part of the cast's bonding. Bong later quipped that ensemble chemistry came through many early morning reconciliations. Even the food detail was deliberate. Translator Darcy Paquette coined the term Ramdon, ramen udon, because Japaguri wouldn't translate. They even replaced Korean messaging app KakaoTalk with WhatsApp and Seoul National University with Oxford in the subtitles to make cultural nuance more accessible internationally. Paquette worked hand in glove with Bong, trusting him to keep the original flavor even while adapting it for global audiences. The film almost lost a scene near the end. Weinstein's team pressured Bong to remove a long, symbolic shot of a train guard gutting a fish. No action, they said, but Bong refused. When asked why, he said, "It's personal. I'm dedicating this shot to my father, who was a fisherman." Weinstein relented instantly. Bong later admitted he had lied, since his father had never been a fisherman, but the lie saved the shot. That anecdote became legendary among filmmakers. At festivals, the reaction was electric. At Cannes, the film received an 8-minute standing ovation. Toronto, LA. As Parasite swept awards, Bong's interpreter, Sharon Choi, became front and center at ceremonies. Her calm, eloquent translation during his Academy Award speech was celebrated in its own right. Meanwhile, subtler controversies emerged. In Seoul, tourism boards capitalized on the film, turning semi-basement neighborhoods into tourist sets. Residents of those neighborhoods felt exposed, like zoo animals under glass. Local activists protested that commodifying poverty did little to help living residents, and part of the government's $150 million investment in film tourism was criticized for ignoring housing insecurity. Bong himself avoided these debates in public. His focus was artistic and political, but he resisted being the political figurehead. The film was shot in late 2018. Final picture editing wrapped by November. Sound mixing and ADR took place until January 2019. Sound designer Choi Tae-young spent 12 weeks on the project, 8 for editing and 2 each for Atmos pre-dub and final mix. He used a 48-channel Neve DFC 3D console, praising its automation and tonal clarity, because emotional subtlety mattered as much as clean dialogue. Even architectural surrealism had practical roots. Real architects told Bong the house design was impossible, that no one would build such a structure in reality. But that was the point. It was designed to function for the camera, for character movement, and for symbolic tension. Every corridor, every landing, every straight line was a visual metaphor. Despite production perfection, the film almost suffered in marketing. Early test screenings cut 25 minutes of dialogue, making characters feel unmotivated. Audiences were confused. Bong insisted on a director's cut. He nearly removed his name from the project if his cut wasn't preserved. Fortunately, the film ended up with radius distribution and audiences soon rallied. Critics praised, the awards came, and the original vision survived. On one early post-Oscars report, An actor commented how even the pizza shop and its manager, where the Kims fold boxes and later distribute flyers, appear later in the background of the shelter scenes. That kind of attention to continuity, tying the con back to everyday hustle, shows how much care went into every frame. And the obsession with smell and invisibility? The creative decision to feature a $2,500 silent trash can in the Park house struck Bong as absurd, but emblematic of wealth. He told the crew he was baffled. What kind of person buys a lid that doesn't creak for thousands of dollars? Yet that silent trash can become a symbol of the park's cushioned detachment. Collectively, these stories from pre-production sketches to flush-tested toilets build a portrait of a film made by perfectionists who understood that every inconvenience, dirty water, fake peach allergy, storyboard pages, billions of flies attracted to fake garbage, was part of the artistry. Parasite didn't just comment on class, it was built class by class, frame by frame, with detail so obsessive it became invisible. And that invisibility is part of the point. From the original play concept to the final credit roll, Parasite was a paradox. Meticulously planned, but loose with actors. Visually pristine, but drenched in grit. A con about deception, made with total honesty about craft. And perhaps the strangest fact of all. The intended symbol of fortune, the scholar's rock, was originally offered as a real rock, but the one used in the film was hollow and buoyant, chosen not because it looked solid, but because when submerged it floats away. That made it perfect for metaphor. A rock that fails. A fortune that won't sink. A parasite that can't anchor. That, ultimately, is the story behind Parasite. Strange, contested, crafted by a man who storyboarded every frame, who argued for 25 minutes of dialogue, who built a house in a tank, who trusted his cast blindly, who turned his friend's peach allergy into a pivot point of fate, and who, above all, understood that to show inequality you have to build it literally and let the water flow through. Absolutely. Here's a fluid, in-depth narrative exploring Parasite's most powerful scenes, their emotional weight, thematic resonance, and how they shape the film's unforgettable impact. Woven seamlessly as a story rather than broken into parts. From the moment Parasite opens, it's clear we're entering a world where every frame, every gesture, every glance pulses with significance. One of the film's earliest impactful scenes is the introduction of the Kim family's semi-basement apartment. A cramped, dimly lit space suffused with a sense of entrapment and yearning. This setting isn't just backdrop. It embodies the claustrophobia of poverty and the relentless pressure to escape it. The way Bong Joon-ho lingers on small details, the cracked walls, the slant of light through the window, the distant sounds of the city, pulls viewers into a lived experience. It's a quiet but profound invitation to empathize, setting the emotional groundwork for the upheavals to come. The arrival of Ki-woo at the Park household marks another pivotal moment. His tentative entrance is charged with excitement and anxiety, an echo of the hope that fuels much of the film. The deliberate contrast between the park's sleek, spacious, sunlit home and the Kim's shadowed apartment is striking here, visually narrating the gulf between social classes without a word. The scene is layered with tension. Ki-woo's polished manners and nervous smiles mask the precariousness of his deception. This duality, the surface charm and the underlying desperation, resonates deeply, prompting viewers to question appearances and the facades we all construct. As the Kims begin to infiltrate the Park household, the film masterfully builds suspense through subtle power shifts and unspoken threats. The scene where Ki-young tests the housekeeper Moongwang's allergy to peaches is particularly charged. What begins as a seemingly innocuous prank swiftly morphs into a life-altering revelation. The peach allergy detail becomes a symbol of vulnerability and fragility amid social gamesmanship, reminding us how small, overlooked elements can trigger monumental change. The audience feels the suspense tighten with every moment. The tension between laughter and fear is palpable, showcasing Bong's genius for blending genres and moods. The birthday party scene for the park's son, Da-song, stands out as one of the film's most emotionally complex moments. Initially, it unfolds with bright colors and festive music, exuding warmth and joy. But beneath this veneer lies an undercurrent of unease and absurdity. Da-song's behavior, a mix of innocence and trauma, adds layers of unpredictability. His sudden violent outburst towards Gun Se, the hidden man in the basement, shocks both characters and viewers alike. This moment disrupts the film's rhythm and foreshadows the chaos to come, effectively blurring the lines between victim and perpetrator, innocence and complicity. The audience is left grappling with discomfort and empathy, a testament to the film's emotional depth. The flooding of the Kims' semi-basement home after the rainstorm is another scene that resonates on multiple levels. Visually, its haunting water swallows the cramped apartment, turning it into a submerged tomb of lost dreams. Emotionally, it conveys the crushing weight of poverty and how easily it can erase hope. The contrasting reactions of the Kim family and the Parks, one drowning in misery, the other inconvenienced, highlight systemic inequality. This scene's symbolism lingers long after it ends, evoking a profound sense of despair intertwined with resilience. It challenges viewers to confront the harsh realities faced by millions, making it one of the film's most socially potent moments. Perhaps the film's most harrowing and unforgettable sequence is the violent climax during the Park's garden party. The slow build-up to Mr. Kim's breakdown, triggered by Mr. Park's comment about smelling like the lower class, is expertly crafted. The camera lingers on Ki-taek's face, capturing the storm of humiliation, rage, and desperation beneath his calm exterior. When the eruption finally comes, it is both shocking and heartbreaking. The brutality of the act contrasts sharply with the refined setting, emphasizing the film's central theme, the unbearable pressure of invisible social divisions. Audience reactions to this scene are often visceral, mixing horror, sorrow, and a troubling sense of inevitability. It forces a reckoning with the consequences of systemic neglect and dehumanization. In the film's aftermath, the quiet resolution offers a stark emotional counterpoint to the earlier chaos. Ki-woo's hope to buy the Park house and rescue his father feels both touching and tragically naive. This bittersweet ending encapsulates the cyclical nature of inequality. The dream remains, but the path is fraught with obstacles. The film resists neat closure, instead leaving viewers with lingering questions about agency, fate, and social mobility. It's a powerful emotional and thematic choice that cements Parasite's status as a film that stays with you long after the credits roll. Throughout Parasite, Bong Joon-ho's use of space, light, and sound elevates these key moments. The vertical architecture of the Park home, a fortress of privilege, is a constant visual motif, reinforcing the social ladder the Kims attempt to climb. The interplay of natural and artificial light mirrors the oscillation between transparency and secrecy, truth and deception. Sound design also plays a subtle yet crucial role. The dripping water, the muffled voices through walls, the creak of floorboards, all contribute to a heightened sense of atmosphere and emotional tension. What makes these moments particularly special is how they are anchored by the performances. Kang-ho's portrayal of Ki-taek is a masterclass in restraint and intensity. His subtle facial expressions convey volumes, the weight of unspoken dreams, simmering rage, and quiet dignity. Cho Yeo-jeong's Park Yun-kyo embodies oblivious privilege with effortless grace, making the character's casual cruelty all the more chilling. The supporting cast, especially Park So-dam and Choi Woo-shik as the scheming younger Kims, imbue their roles with sharp wit and vulnerability, enhancing the film's intricate emotional tapestry. Audience reactions worldwide underscore the universal resonance of these scenes. While the film is deeply rooted in South Korean society, its exploration of class, family, and survival transcends borders. Many viewers report feeling both discomfort and moved, pulled into a story that reflects their own social anxieties and hopes. The tension between laughter and horror, empathy and judgment, invites repeated viewings and ongoing discussions. In essence, these key moments collectively shape Parasite's overall experience by weaving together narrative tension, emotional complexity, and social critique. They transform the film from a mere thriller or dark comedy into a profound meditation on human nature and societal structures. The impact of these scenes lingers, each one a carefully crafted piece in a larger puzzle that challenges us to look beyond surface appearances and confront uncomfortable truths. Through this seamless blend of cinematic artistry and storytelling, Parasite not only entertains but also enlightens. Its critical moments serve as touchstones for viewers, prompting reflection on personal and collective levels. They demonstrate, from the very first frames of Parasite, it's clear the film isn't just telling a story about one family or one household. It's probing the invisible walls dividing society. The Kims' cramped semi-basement apartment, with its low ceilings and narrow windows, becomes more than a setting. It's a physical metaphor for their place in the social hierarchy, trapped below the surface of prosperity. Their every struggle to climb up, both literally and figuratively, echoes a universal human desire for dignity and security. Yet the film never romanticizes this aspiration. Instead, it casts a sharp light on how systemic barriers keep the underclass confined, creating a parasitic cycle where survival depends on exploiting others. The title itself, Parasite, resonates on multiple levels. At first glance, one might assume it points to the poor, like the Kim family, leeching off the wealthy Parks. But Bong Joon-ho complicates this assumption by revealing that parasitism flows both ways. The Parks, ensconced in luxury, rely on invisible labor. The housekeeper's work, the driver's service, the Kim's cons. The film suggests that both classes feed off each other's existence, yet the wealthier class remains largely oblivious to the sacrifices sustaining their lifestyle. This mutual dependency, cloaked in denial and ignorance, reflects a broader societal blindness to inequality. A compelling theme weaving through the narrative is the concept of invisibility. The Kim family's efforts to blend seamlessly into the Park household, masking their true identities, mirror how marginalized groups are often unseen or misunderstood by those in power. Their invisibility is both a survival tactic and a social indictment. The Parks, meanwhile, live in a world buffered by privilege, where discomfort or suffering in the lower world rarely penetrates their consciousness. The film's visual design reinforces this divide. The transparent glass walls of the Park home both reveal and obscure, creating a distorted barrier between inside and outside, rich and poor. Symbolism is everywhere, enriching the narrative with layered meaning. The scholar's rock, given to Ki-woo by a friend, is perhaps the most potent symbol. Traditionally associated with wealth and good fortune, the rock in Parasite is paradoxical. Solid yet hollow, heavy yet buoyant. It symbolizes the illusion of upward mobility and the fragility of hope for the Kim family. They clutch this stone as if it can anchor their dreams, but it floats away under pressure, mirroring how their aspirations dissolve amid harsh social realities. Water, too, carries heavy symbolism. The flooding of the Kim's basement is a visceral image of drowning under systemic neglect. The rising water erases their home and belongings, a tangible representation of poverty's volatility and precarity. Yet water also flows freely through all levels of the city, indifferent to class, reminding viewers that despite rigid social divisions, we all inhabit the same world, often with devastatingly unequal experiences. Another striking symbolic element is the architectural design of the Park house itself. Its modernist, clean lines, and expansive openness visually contrast the cramped, chaotic Kim apartment. The verticality of the house, the stairs, the basement, the attic, becomes a metaphor for social hierarchy. Characters ascend and descend these spaces, reflecting their shifting fortunes and power dynamics. The house is less a home and more a fortress, isolating its inhabitants in a bubble of privilege and detachment from reality. The film's use of food operates on multiple thematic levels. From the fast food pizza boxes to the home-cooked meals shared between characters, food represents both connection and class division. The Parks enjoy gourmet dishes and luxury ingredients, oblivious to the Kim's struggles, who scavenge and improvise meals. The famous Ramdon scene, a humble instant noodle dish elevated to cinematic prominence, celebrates simple pleasures but also highlights disparities in access and taste shaped by economic status. At its core, Parasite is a searing critique of capitalism and its effect on human relationships. The film portrays a system where economic disparity breeds mistrust, desperation, and violence. The Kim's calculated cons and the Park's naive consumption reveal how money distorts morality on both ends. The narrative suggests that beneath polite social facades lies a brutal competition for survival, where empathy is often sacrificed for self-preservation. The film also explores family dynamics under pressure. The The Kim's loyalty and solidarity are tested as their scheme unravels, exposing fissures fueled by fear and ambition. Contrasting with the park's superficial warmth, the Kims embody a raw, messy humanity shaped by hardship. This juxtaposition questions whether wealth truly fosters happiness or simply masks deeper dysfunctions. Moreover, Parasite subtly engages with South Korea's specific cultural and social context, especially regarding housing inequality and the Hell-Joseon phenomenon, a term used by young Koreans to describe economic hardship and limited social mobility. The film's settings, the semi-basement homes, the gentrified neighborhoods, the elite schools, reflect real-life urban divides that shape Korean society today. Yet its themes resonate globally, speaking to widespread concerns about economic polarization, the erosion of the middle class, and the human cost of social stratification. Throughout, Bong Joon-ho employs genre blending, dark comedy, thriller, drama, to navigate these heavy themes without alienating viewers. Humor punctuates tension, making the social critique more accessible and emotionally engaging. This balance allows the audience to both laugh at and lament the absurdities of inequality, deepening their connection to the character's plight. Ultimately, Parasite asks uncomfortable questions about who benefits from societal structures and who pays the price. It forces us to reflect on the invisible systems, economic, social, and cultural, that perpetuate division. The film's tragic conclusion, where dreams of escape are deferred or shattered, underscores the persistence of these divides, but also the resilience of those caught within them. This seamless weaving of story, symbolism, and social commentary is what makes Parasite so powerful. It's not merely a movie about class. It's a mirror held up to the global condition, inviting viewers to see the parasites within their own lives and societies. By embedding its messages in rich, evocative imagery and compelling characters, Parasite transcends entertainment to become a profound meditation on human existence in a world marked by inequality. From the opening moments of Parasite, it becomes clear that every visual choice is deliberate, crafting an immersive world that pulls viewers deep into its layered story. Bong Joon-ho's direction is a masterclass in how cinema can communicate mood, theme, and character through imagery and sound, not just dialogue. The film's visual style, carefully orchestrated cinematography, and precise editing all serve to enhance the storytelling, creating a tactile sense of place and emotional resonance that lingers long after the screen goes dark. One of the film's most striking cinematic techniques is its use of space and framing. The camera often positions characters within architectural confines, the narrow staircases, the glass walls, the basement hiding places, emphasizing the social and physical barriers between them. The Park House, with its expansive, minimalist modern design, contrasts starkly with the cramped, cluttered semi-basement apartment of the Kim family. These spaces aren't just settings. They become characters themselves, reflecting the invisible divides that shape the characters' lives. Wide, static shots linger on the immaculate park living room, highlighting its pristine order, while handheld, intimate shots capture the chaos and intimacy of the Kim's home. This contrast visually enforces the social chasm at the story's heart. Cinematographer Hong Kyung-pyo's work on Parasite is nothing short of brilliant. His use of lighting subtly reinforces mood and theme throughout the film. Natural light floods the park home during the day, imbuing it with an airy, almost surreal brightness that feels both inviting and isolating. In contrast, the Kim apartment is often bathed in muted, artificial lighting that evokes a sense of confinement and gloom. Shadows play an essential role too. Dark corners and obscured figures suggest secrets and lurking dangers beneath the surface of everyday life. The way light and shadow shift with the narrative flow invites viewers to see beyond appearances and understand the hidden tensions simmering beneath the surface. The film's color palette further enriches the storytelling. The Park household is dominated by whites, beiges, and soft pastels, underscoring their wealth and sanitized lifestyle, while the Kim family's environment uses earthier, darker tones, grays, browns, and muted greens, reflecting their grounded but constrained reality. Small bursts of color, like the bright yellow of the Scholar's Rock or the vibrant peach, stand out against these palettes, acting as symbolic focal points that draw the eye and deepen meaning. Editing in Parasite is both subtle and precise, shaping pacing and tension with remarkable skill. The film balances moments of quiet introspection with sudden bursts of kinetic energy. Long, measured takes allow the viewer to soak in the environment and the characters' nuanced performances, building suspense slowly and organically. Yet when conflict erupts, the editing becomes sharper, quicker, cutting between reactions, amplifying chaos without sacrificing clarity. This rhythm mirrors the narrative's oscillation between calm and storm, order and disruption. Sound design is another layer where Parasite excels, crafting an immersive auditory landscape that enhances every scene's emotional impact. Ambient sounds, the dripping of water in the basement, footsteps echoing in the park home, the muffled city noise outside, create a textured soundscape that grounds the story in reality. These sounds often carry symbolic weight, like the rainstorm that floods the Kim apartment. Not just a weather event, but a sonic expression of calamity and loss. The subtle use of silence at key moments heightens tension, forcing the audience to focus intently on characters' expressions and the weight of their interactions. Complementing the soundscape is the film's musical score, composed by Yeo-jeong, which blends minimalist piano motifs with swelling orchestral movements. The music is carefully calibrated to support the emotional arc without overwhelming it. Delicate, repetitive piano themes underscore the film's quieter, more introspective scenes, evoking melancholy and yearning. In contrast, the score swells dramatically during moments of revelation and violence, amplifying the stakes and emotional intensity. This dynamic musical approach enhances the viewer's emotional journey, weaving through the narrative like an invisible thread binding the story together. Bong Joon-ho's stylistic choices further distinguish Parasite as a work of art. His trademark genre blending is visible in the way the film shifts seamlessly from dark comedy to thriller to tragedy. Visually, this is supported by tonal shifts in lighting, framing, and editing that cue the audience to these changes without jarring transitions. For example, scenes that begin with casual humor often harbor an undercurrent of unease. Tiny details in the mise-en-scene foreshadow darker developments, such as the suspicious behavior of the housekeeper or the hidden basement door. These visual clues invite attentive viewers to anticipate twists, heightening engagement. Camera movement in Parasite is used sparingly but with great effect. Static shots dominate to establish setting and emotional tone, while deliberate tracking shots follow characters up or down staircases, symbolizing their social ascent or descent. The vertical movement through the park house becomes a visual metaphor for class mobility and its dangers. Notably, moments where the camera lingers on characters' faces, especially Song Kang-ho's key take, capture fleeting emotions, subtle shifts in expression that reveal internal conflicts and unspoken tensions. These close-ups are powerful storytelling tools, grounding the film's abstract social critique in deeply human experience. The film also uses mirrors and reflections as recurring motifs. Scenes where characters glimpse themselves or others in glass surfaces emphasize duality, their public facade versus private reality, and the blurred lines between victim and perpetrator, truth and deception. The reflections serve as a visual reminder of the complexity of identity and the facades people maintain to navigate a divided world. In the climactic garden party scene, the filmmaking techniques converge spectacularly. The editing accelerates, the camera angles become more erratic, and the music swells to a frenetic pitch. The once serene and pristine environment becomes a stage for chaos and violence. The stark contrast between the elegant setting and the raw brutality underscores the film's thematic core, the fragility of social order and the explosive consequences of inequality. This sequence's visual and auditory intensity immerses viewers fully, making the emotional impact almost unbearable yet impossible to look away from. Overall, Parasite's cinematic craftsmanship is a vital part of its storytelling power. Every visual and auditory element works in harmony to create a world that feels lived in and layered with meaning. Bong Joon-ho's meticulous attention to detail, from set design to lighting, editing to sound, transforms the film into a sensory experience that amplifies its narrative themes. This seamless integration of cinematic techniques ensures that viewers don't just watch Parasite. They inhabit its world, feel its tensions, and understand its messages on a visceral level. The film's visual storytelling invites. From the earliest scenes, the undeniable chemistry between the actors breathes life into the Kim family's story, making their struggles and schemes feel deeply authentic. Kang-ho, who plays Ki-taek, anchors the ensemble with a nuanced performance that balances warmth, humor, and simmering frustration. His interactions with his on-screen wife, portrayed by Jang Hae-jin, reveal a genuine, lived-in dynamic. The subtle glances, the shared exasperations, and the unspoken loyalty that define a family surviving together in tight quarters. This natural rapport wasn't accidental. During rehearsals, Bong Joon-ho emphasized improvisation and encouraged the actors to explore their characters' relationships beyond the script, cultivating an organic chemistry that translates to effortless realism on screen. Cho Yeo-jeong, playing the naive and polished Mrs. Park, offers a fascinating foil to the Kims, and her chemistry with the Kim actors adds layers of tension and satire. The moments where her performance borders on exaggerated obliviousness are sharpened by her genuine warmth and subtle vulnerability, creating a complex portrayal that makes the social critique all the more biting. Her scenes with Kang-ho, especially, highlight a delicate push and pull. Her obliviousness to his frustration contrasted against his carefully masked resentment. Their exchanges are electric, filled with subtext that speaks volumes about class divisions without overt confrontation. The younger cast members, Choi Woo-shik and Park So-dam, who play the Kim children Ki-woo and Ki-young, bring an energetic playfulness and sharp wit that lightens the film's darker themes. Their sibling chemistry crackles with mischievous intelligence, their shared confidence in the cons tempered by moments of vulnerability that remind viewers of their precarious reality. Off-screen, the actors reportedly bonded over shared rehearsals and discussions about their characters' motivations, which enhanced their on-screen ease and timing. Park So-dam's quick improvisations, in particular, added an unexpected freshness to several scenes, inspiring spontaneous reactions from co-stars that made moments feel alive and unscripted. The supporting cast, including Lee Young-eun as the housekeeper Moon-gwang and Jang Hae-jin's husband Park Myung-hoon as the chauffeur, brought their own dynamic energy, enriching the film's complex web of relationships. Lee Young-eun's portrayal of Moon-gwang shifts seamlessly from warm familiarity to eerie menace, and her interactions with both families deepen the story's tension. The way these actors inhabited their roles so fully helped blur lines between friend and foe, victim and perpetrator, which kept audiences guessing and emotionally engaged. Behind the scenes, the set itself became a crucible for collaboration and creativity. The iconic Park House, designed specifically for the film, was not just a backdrop but a living space where the actors could inhabit their characters fully. The production team went to great lengths to make the environment authentic, including carefully crafting the house's layout to facilitate the complex camera movements and blocking that Bong Joon-ho envisioned. The actors reportedly spent hours rehearsing in the space to develop a natural sense of movement and interaction, which translates into fluid, believable scenes. These preparations allowed for the film's signature moments, like the tense stairwell confrontations and hidden basement reveals, to unfold with visceral intensity. Interestingly, the production was not without its challenges. Filming some of the more intense scenes, especially those involving violence or emotional breakdowns, required repeated takes that tested the actor's stamina and emotional reserves. Yet, cast and crew spoke about a strong sense of camaraderie and trust on set, which helped them push through demanding sequences. This bond is palpable in the final film, where emotional beats hit with remarkable sincerity, suggesting a shared commitment to telling the story truthfully. The film's meticulous attention to detail extended to costume and makeup, subtly reinforcing character traits and social statuses. For example, the Kim family's increasingly disheveled appearance, as their plans unravel, contrasts with the immaculate presentation of the Parks, reinforcing visual storytelling through performance and design synergy. The actors' physical transformations and mannerisms, refined through rehearsal and collaboration with the director, contributed significantly to the film's immersive realism. Upon release, Parasite sparked a tidal wave of audience reactions worldwide. Many viewers praised the film's ability to blend genres seamlessly. Its dark humor, suspense, and social commentary resonated across cultures. The chemistry between actors was frequently highlighted in reviews, with critics noting how the performances elevated the script's biting critique into something deeply human and relatable. Audiences connected strongly to the characters, seeing reflections of their own struggles and aspirations in the Kim's story. Social media buzz amplified this connection, with fans dissecting scenes, quoting lines, and sharing interpretations, fueling an ongoing dialogue that kept the film alive in public consciousness long after its initial run. Critics lauded the ensemble cast, with Kang-ho's performance receiving particular acclaim for its subtlety and emotional range. The supporting actors were praised for adding complexity and nuance, ensuring no character felt one-dimensional. This critical recognition culminated in multiple awards and nominations globally, including historic wins at the Cannes Film Festival and the Academy Awards, solidifying Parasite as a landmark achievement in world cinema. Long-term fan engagement reflects the film's layered storytelling and compelling performances. Online communities continue to explore character motivations, thematic elements, and hidden details, often attributing the film's success to the cast's authentic chemistry and the palpable tension created on set. Fan art, discussions, and analyses celebrate how the actors' interactions made the social commentary resonate on a personal level, proving that the film's impact goes beyond its narrative into the realm of emotional connection. In sum, the intertwined chemistry of Parasite's cast, the carefully crafted set dynamics, and the profound audience response create a tapestry of creative energy that defines the film's lasting legacy. The actors' collaborative spirit, coupled with meticulous production design and Bong Joon-ho's visionary direction, transformed a story about social divides into a universal human drama that continues to captivate and inspire. Through their seamless interplay, both on and off screen, the cast and crew brought Parasite to life as a cinematic experience that is as emotionally compelling as it is intellectually provocative, leaving an indelible mark on audiences around the world. When Parasite premiered in 2019, few could have predicted just how profoundly it would reshape the cinematic landscape and reverberate far beyond the boundaries of film. Bong Joon-ho's masterwork did not merely win awards or dominate box office charts. It fundamentally challenged conventions of genre, storytelling, and cultural discourse, leaving an indelible mark on global cinema and popular culture. Its legacy is not only found in the trophies it collected, but in how it transformed perceptions, inspired creators, and sparked conversations that continue to unfold. One of Parasite's most revolutionary impacts lies in its genre-defying storytelling. By seamlessly weaving elements of dark comedy, thriller, social drama, and horror, it broke free from rigid cinematic categories, illustrating that complex social critique can be both entertaining and profoundly thought-provoking. This genre hybridity opened doors for filmmakers worldwide, encouraging a new wave of storytellers to experiment with tone and structure without sacrificing depth or accessibility. The film's success demonstrated that audiences are eager for stories that challenge them intellectually and emotionally, refusing to be pigeonholed by traditional genre expectations. The film also raised the global profile of South Korean cinema in unprecedented ways. While Korean filmmakers and actors had achieved critical acclaim before, Parasite's sweeping international success, including its historic Best Picture win at the 92nd Academy Awards, catapulted Korean cinema onto the world stage like never before. This milestone shattered long-standing barriers in Hollywood, where foreign-language films rarely break into mainstream recognition. Bong Joon-ho's win signaled a shift in the industry's openness to diverse voices and storytelling styles, inspiring greater inclusion and cross-cultural exchange. It paved the way for a wider appreciation of international cinema, expanding audiences' horizons and encouraging distributors to invest more in non-English language films. In terms of pop culture, Parasite quickly transcended its role as a film to become a cultural phenomenon. Its memorable imagery, the semi-basement apartment, the scholar's rock, the climactic garden party, has been referenced, parodied, and analyzed across media platforms. Social media buzz helped cultivate a global fan base that dissected every frame, sharing theories and discoveries that enriched the film's meaning. The characters' experiences and struggles resonated widely, sparking discussions about class inequality, economic precarity, and the invisible labor-sustaining privilege. These conversations crossed boundaries, engaging not just cinephiles but everyday viewers who found in Parasite a mirror reflecting societal issues often ignored. The film's awards and milestones serve as visible markers of its impact but only tell part of the story. Winning the Palme d'Or at Cannes and multiple Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director, Parasite set new precedents for foreign films in global award circuits. These accolades validated the film's artistic excellence while signaling a growing appetite for diverse narratives. Beyond trophies, the film inspired countless academic studies, retrospectives, and creative homages, becoming a reference point for discussions on modern storytelling, social justice, and cinematic craft. Its influence reaches into classrooms, film festivals, and industry practices, shaping how films are made, marketed, and received. Yet Parasite's enduring significance goes deeper than awards or trends. It resides in its unflinching exploration of human nature and social structures. The film's depiction of economic disparity, invisibility, and aspiration taps into universal truths that remain relevant across time and place. Its narrative resists simple answers, portraying characters who are neither wholly virtuous nor villainous, but complex individuals shaped by circumstances. This nuanced portrayal encourages empathy and critical reflection, prompting audiences to question their own positions within social hierarchies and the systems they inhabit. Moreover, the film's visual and thematic richness invites repeated viewings, ensuring its place in cinematic history as a work that rewards close attention and ongoing interpretation. Each revisit reveals new layers, symbolic details, character motivations, narrative foreshadowing, making Parasite not just a story but an experience that evolves with the viewer. This longevity is a hallmark of enduring art, one that continues to inspire dialogue, creativity, and social awareness long after its initial release. In reflecting on why Parasite remains significant, it's clear that its legacy is anchored in its ability to connect the personal with the political, the intimate with the systemic. It reminds us that stories about families, homes, and survival can illuminate broader societal truths. It challenges us to see the invisible, to confront uncomfortable realities, and to imagine a more equitable world. In doing so, it elevates cinema from mere entertainment to a powerful catalyst for understanding and change. Ultimately, Parasite stands as a testament to the power of film to transcend cultural and linguistic boundaries, to provoke thought and empathy, and to capture the complexities of the human condition with artistry and insight. Its legacy will continue to ripple through the realms of filmmaking, culture, and society, inspiring generations to come to look beneath the surface and question the structures shaping our lives. This is why Parasite is not just a milestone in cinema. It is a lasting cultural landmark that redefined what film can be and what stories the world is ready to hear. From the very first frame to its unforgettable final moments, Parasite stands as a remarkable achievement in filmmaking, a layered and nuanced story that resonates on countless levels. It is a film that defies easy categorization, part social satire, part thriller, part dark comedy. And yet these elements blend so seamlessly that the experience feels entirely cohesive, compelling, and deeply human. What makes Parasite truly extraordinary is its ability to weave together sharp social commentary with intimate family drama, all wrapped in a cinematic style that is as visually arresting as it is thematically profound. The film's narrative architecture is a marvel of craftsmanship. The way Bong Joon-ho constructs tension, pacing the story so carefully that every scene carries weight and every twist lands with emotional and intellectual impact, keeps audiences hooked from start to finish. The characters feel real and relatable. Their flaws, dreams, and conflicts mirror our own human complexity, while the setting itself becomes a potent symbol of the social divides that shape their lives. The subtle details, from lighting and color palettes to sound design and editing, work in harmony to immerse viewers in a world that is at once familiar and unsettling, inviting repeated viewings and fresh discoveries. What sets Parasite apart is how it balances its multiple layers without sacrificing coherence or emotional engagement. The performances are outstanding, with each actor bringing depth and nuance that enrich the story's tension and empathy. Kang-ho's portrayal of Ki-taek anchors the film with a quiet power, while the supporting cast infuses the narrative with energy, humor, and moments of heartbreaking vulnerability. Their chemistry on screen makes the social critique personal, turning abstract themes of inequality into a visceral experience that lingers long after the credits roll. The film's cultural impact cannot be overstated. Parasite shattered barriers for international cinema, winning the Palme d'Or and making history at the Academy Awards, opening doors for more diverse voices in global storytelling. Its themes of economic disparity, social invisibility, and human ambition resonate universally, sparking conversations that extend well beyond the movie theater. The film's rich symbolism and layered narrative invite viewers not only to watch but to think, analyze, and empathize, making it a landmark piece of modern cinema. Yet beyond its awards and critical acclaim, what makes Parasite endure is its heart. It reminds us that stories about class and society are ultimately stories about people, about families trying to survive, to find dignity, and to connect in a world that often pits them against each other. It challenges us to look deeper, to question the systems that shape our lives, and to recognize the fragile lines that separate fortune from misfortune, visibility from invisibility. As we conclude this deep dive, it's clear that Parasite is more than just a film. It's a cinematic experience that invites us to explore complex themes through masterful storytelling and unforgettable characters. Its artistry and impact continue to inspire filmmakers, audiences, and thinkers around the world, proving that great cinema can be both entertaining and profoundly meaningful. If you love this breakdown, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of cinema. Let's keep exploring movies together. Every film has its own story to tell, and together, we can uncover the magic hidden in every frame. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to dive into the next cinematic masterpiece with you.